1968 Alpine A220 race car in VR. Hello everybody and welcome to Overfed Gaming. You're listening to the Overfed. Today we are driving a 1968 Alpine A220 in a World Touring Car 700 race. We're driving at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps and we're doing 8 laps. We started 20th of 20 cars and we started with a rolling start. Now the first thing I like to try and remind myself of, that I always try to mention at the beginning of a race like an 8-lapper, is we know that we're not going to be able to do the whole race, the whole 8 laps in one tank of fuel. It's just a little bit too much. So we're going to have to try and decide when we're going to split it up, but more important, we're going to have to make sure that we know where the pit entrance is. And we should also know where the pit exit is, because when you come out of the pit, you want to know whether you can hammer down or whether there's a corner coming right away. So I always kind of try and keep that in mind in the first lap, trying to refamiliarize myself with the track. And I kind of like this track. It's got some really good places to pass. You know, not a lot of tight, squirrely back and forth kind of turns, but more like this sweeping straight sections into a sweeping curve, and it's a really cool track to drive. A lot of speed on this track, which in turn, of course, when you've got wider tracks, if you got a lot of speed, it still makes it difficult to pass because everybody's going so fast. Anyhow, we are coming up close to, well, not quite yet, but I guess we're just about halfway over the first lap. I'm getting kind of anxious of knowing where that pit entrance is. It's kind of on this particular track, it's a little bit hard to see when you're coming up to it. So if you're not aware of it and you're not paying attention, you can really bypass it quickly. So, but we're coming up to it fairly quickly here. So we're just going to try and sneak up on these guys here and catch up to them. Get close to the group. What we're going to try and do I think we'll probably split it 4 and 4 laps, and what we're going to try and do in the first 4 laps is try to maybe get about halfway through the pack of cars. Now, when you make this turn here, right straight in front of you right now is where the pit entrance is. And it goes around and goes in behind that yellow and red barrier, and it comes out just a little bit up ahead when you turn the corner. As soon as you turn the corner here on the right hand side, I'd say, well, it's hard to see over here, but right there is where you're coming out. You can see the line of the pit exit lane. So you can tell you can hammer down pretty good because you've got a fairly decent straight section of the sweeping curve in front of you. So we finished our first lap. That was the first lap, and of course, like normal, the Overfed doesn't count the cars that he passes, which really is, in an 8-lapper, it's immaterial, because you're going to go into the pit stop after 4 laps, say. Other cars are going to wait till say lap 6 or 7. You don't know, but they're going to go into the pit stop at different times. So people are going to be out on the track with very little fuel, whereas you have a full tank, but you're behind them. You see what I mean? So it really doesn't make much of a difference to count where you are, although the only thing that you do know for sure is that it's probably a pretty good guess that nobody is going to go in for fuel in the first 4 laps. So we're pretty safe. We're going to go in for, after 4 laps, we're going to change the tires. We're going to fuel up. We can see the heads-up display when we're in the pit stop, so we can see exactly what position we're in. We will know that we've got 4 laps left to go, but we'll know the tire wear, the fuel consumption, stuff like that. In the meantime, we're just going to keep racing and try and pass as many cars as we can. And if we can get up to about car number 9 or 10 by the time we go in for fuel, then we're probably going to be sitting in a pretty good position. Now we started off with some clear blue skies, and it's starting to cloud over a little bit here. It looks hazy, misty hazy. You don't see the blue anymore. It's starting to look a little bit peculiar, a little bit stormy out there, but we'll have to wait and see how things go. Like I said, if it gets really bad, because this is the second lap, now let's say it starts pouring rain before we finish this lap, then we'll go into the pits right now and make sure we got wet tires on. So we'll just have to kind of play it by ear. Now, we're almost at the end of the second lap, so it looks like we're going to continue on and do at least one more lap, depending on how the weather is going to hold out. And see, it's starting to look pretty growly out there. Well, I think we're going to catch a little bit of rain, and you don't want to get caught out on the track with anything but intermediates or wets if the track gets wet from the rain. Whether the track is wet or whether it's raining, either one, you need wet tires, because you will not be able to move, because you don't get no grip. So keep that in mind. We'll have to take a look at the end of this lap. This is our third lap. We'll take a look and see what the weather is like as to whether we're going to do a fourth lap or not. Now we'll see. The wipers will come on when the moisture starts hitting the windshield, so we know we're pretty safe now. They haven't come on yet, so we're still driving dry. So we're going to continue on and try and catch up to these next batch, and let's see if we can get by them, improve our position a little bit before we go into the pit stop. This track is pretty nice to drive, but you got to beware of your corners, and you got to slow down for them. You can't, if you come into them too hot, you're going to overshoot them. You know, kind of like this guy right here in front of me. Whoa! He just overshot it a little bit. It came in a little bit too hot. So you do have to respect the track and slow down for the corners to keep from losing control of your car. And I tell you, the OpenFed knows a little bit about that. It's happened before. Now, as we're coming around the corner here, I believe we're getting pretty close to the end of the third lap already. We got a little bit to go here yet. The weather is getting darker and darker. I do like driving when it's sunny out much better than when it's like this, that's for sure. You know, it makes the track look a little bit nicer, but this is pretty realistic. It looks pretty growly out and looks like I want to put on my rain jacket. Now, when you get behind these guys here, sometimes you just got to have a little bit of patience, because at the speed that they drive, it's a little bit hard to pass them sometimes. But they give you the opportunity, as you can see right here. We wait till we got around the corner, and he just slowly moves over, and then we go by him. And that puts another car behind you. And this is where we're going to be coming to the end of the third lap, just up ahead here, as this guy wants us out here. That's okay. He can stay in front of us. That's not a big deal. That's not really an issue. One more lap. Well, she looks pretty dry. The wipers haven't come on yet. You know, I'd like to put in the 4 laps, so let's keep going. We'll put in the 4 laps, and then we'll go in, and we'll see how things go after that. But I think we're going to put on our wets for sure anyhow, regardless, because it doesn't look like it's getting any better. So just in case, putting on wet tires might slow you down a little bit with the speed, but I don't think the speed is going to be an issue for this Alpine A220. Absolutely fantastic car. Lots of power, very, very steady on the track, although you can spin up the back end, I'll tell you that, because it's going to happen to me later on. So you do have to keep the power under control. Now we see a guy way up in front of us. So there's a couple of guys, there's more than one there. So we're still not at the front of the pack, that's for sure. Yeah. Here we coming around the corner here. We got to start catching up to these guys soon, because like I said, without the display on, it's really hard to tell where you are in the pack. But this lap is about halfway done, and when we go into the pits, we will find out. Yeah, there's, I think at least, there's got to be 4 or 5 cars in front of us still. There's no way that in 3.5 laps that we've passed 15 cars. Well, might not be 4 or 5. Might be even further down the line than that. But we can see 2. We can see 2 for sure. I thought maybe I saw a third one, but no. We just see the 2 in front of us, so that would make you think that you're in 3rd place, but I don't believe that. Not after 3 laps, 3.5 laps, 4 laps, so you're not going to be in 3rd place. So we're just going to try and stay with these guys, because the lap is almost finished, so there's no point in driving erratic and trying to get by them. I see the wipers are starting to go, which means that intermediates or wets are going to be appropriate wheel wear for the last 4 laps, I will suppose. And as we're coming around the corner here, now like I said, this is a tricky entrance to the pit stop, so just make sure you're aware of that. You got to go straight here and then go around that green shaded area. There we go. All right, now all the tires are not worn too much. We're going to put wets on. The tires would have been okay for wearing, but they're racing hard, and if it would rain, we would really be in trouble. Now, we came in 5th, but car number 2, 3, and 4 were also in the pits. 2 and 3 have just left. And we've dropped down to number 7. That's a long drive to get to the pit crew here, I see. But there we are. Okay, boys, let's put the new tires on. And we can see that we wouldn't have had nowhere near enough fuel. So we'll just fuel it right up to the top. We're already down to number 12, 13, 14, 15. Well, looks like it's going to be number 10, 11. Looks like we're coming out of the pit stop number 11. That yellow car was number 10, and now we are number 10. And we're just going to try and, out of those 10 cars, let's see if we can get past a few of them in this first lap out. But then again, what you got to remember, there's a few cars in that bunch that was ahead of me that did not stop in for fuel. Now those guys will have to stop in within the next couple of laps, because I doubt if they have enough fuel for the whole race. Which means that those are going to be automatic passes for me, because they'll be in the pits when I'm coming by. Because they're just not far enough ahead of me that I wouldn't catch them when they're in the pit stop. So it looks like we're behind a few cars, and we got our work cut out for us. Lap number 5, and we're only doing 8. And it seems like they're fairly long, and they are, but they go by really quickly. You get really just bogged down into the play of the game, and you get just trying to pass the next guy and trying to make it around the corner, and before you know it, the lap is over. So you see, you got to keep your wits about you and know where you are on the track and in the lap count. Lap count being the most important, because you have to know how hard to push it for how long. And that's the other issue that I always have a problem with. If I'm racing in a race like this, and at one point or another you're going to be by yourself because of people going into the pits at different times. Sometimes it's hard to know where you are and how hard you should push. It's kind of like being the lead car. You don't know how far the next car that's ahead of you is in front of you, and you don't know how hard you got to push yourself and your car to catch up to them. So that makes it difficult to race. You're racing alone against an invisible opponent that you don't know where they are. And I find that a little difficult. I find it easier to race, like when you're behind a guy like this. You can see where he is. You can see how hard you got to go if you want to pass him. Because if you don't go hard enough, you won't catch up to him. Pretty straightforward stuff. So with that thought in mind, and lap number 5 being done, the only thing we can do is go as hard as we can, and if we don't see anybody, well, we don't see anybody. We can't assume anything until we are in the last lap. So we can't see anybody in front of us at the moment, so while that's the case, you want to just open it up on the straight sections, because now there's nobody to hold you back either. So there again, if there's somebody in front of you, it's easier to catch him because you got no other cars in front of you. So we're just going to go as hard as we can and see where we end up. Now, this track is one of my favorites. I really love driving this track. It's such a nice flowing track, and there is, like I mentioned earlier on, there isn't a lot of the really tight turns and corners, which makes for a really fast-paced race because you don't have to slow down. And because of that, if you have a car that really holds the track and has great traction and lots of power, you're just flying around the track. And it makes for a really enjoyable race. The only way it'd be more enjoyable is if the sun was shining and I had my right arm hanging out the window catching a tan. That's the only way it could be a little bit better. But that's okay. We just keep racing. This car is an absolute dream to drive, and it looks great. It looks awesome on the inside. I love the dash, and I love how the lights come on. It looks great, and it looks great on the outside too. Now we're getting close to the end of the lap number 6. It's amazing. We've only got 2 more laps to go after this. And we're getting a little bit of rain again. I think it was probably a good choice to put the wets on it. They're not really affecting my speed all that much to the point where anybody's catching me or passing me, so I'm not going to worry about it. And now I don't have to worry about the rain either. So let it rain, baby. Oh, there's a car there in front of us. I saw somebody up there. Oh, they're just going into the pit stop. So you see that guy could have been in front of me, and now I'm going to be in front of him, but he's not going to be far behind when he comes out because he won't be in the pits that long. So you know you got people racing against you, and there's a guy on the track there. You just can't always see them. That's the only issue. But we can see this guy now. He's just down the road there at the bottom. We can see him, so we're going to work on catching him, and it'll probably take probably close to this whole lap to catch him because he's a little ways ahead. That's okay. This is lap number 7, I believe. So only one more after this, so hopefully this guy is the leading car, or the lead car. If he's not, we might not have enough time to be able to catch the lead car because I can't see anybody in front of him. It's really hard to see further up ahead unless you've got a nice long straight section. But this guy's a pretty zippy little guy. I don't seem to have enough power to power around the outside of him. I can catch up to him by the corners, but he goes through them pretty quick, and once he's out of the corner, he zips away. By that time, I have to try and catch up to him again. I catch up to him by this corner. I have to slow down because he's slowing me down. Can't go around the outside of him. And then when we finish going around the corner, he takes off again. So I need a little bit of a straight section to pass this guy. I need a little bit of room. And I believe that's coming up here pretty quick. We've got a little bit of room. Right around that corner up ahead. I believe it's a sweeping corner here, and then we should have a little bit of room passing on this section right here. If he doesn't take off like he's doing right now, oh boy, he has got lots of power, this little guy, but not enough to keep the 68 Alpine A220 behind him. The Opel springs by, and we're almost at the end of this lap, and we only got 1 lap to go. Now he's not going to let you go because he's going to stick with you, so keep an eye on him in your rearview mirror, which is another thing that the Opel always forgets to do. It's happened before. My biggest fear when I was driving in a race, and right like this, at the end of the lap, you have a guy behind you that you're not paying attention to, pass you and beat you for the race. We don't want to see that happen again, if we can help it. If it does, it's okay. It's just part of the game. It's all in the name of fun. I see it's still trying to rain. It's not really pushing forth any harder, but it's trying. So whether the wets that I put on really made a difference or not, oh, almost lost control of it there. I don't know if my tires really made a difference, but it didn't matter. So it's good to know that you've got them if you need them, because there's nothing worse than going into the pit stop and it's raining out, or it's just starting to rain. You go into the pits, you change your tires, and you realize you don't have any wets. You've only got the racing hards or mediums or softs, but no wets or no intermediates. Well, then your race is pretty well over, because you can't win a race when it's raining outside. So it's just not going to happen. Anyhow, we're ripping around the corner here, almost halfway through the very last lap. Having a great time racing at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. I must be pronouncing that wrong, and I hope I don't offend anybody, so I do apologize. I try my best, but it doesn't always work out. Doesn't always work out. Here we're into that sweeping corner again, where we can just push it a little bit harder and make sure that nobody's going to catch us. Absolutely loved this race. I thought it was great. One of my favorite tracks. The car, I've driven it before and I really enjoyed it then, and I really enjoyed it here. Awesome little car to drive, great traction, great on the track. I hope you enjoyed the video, maybe even got some tips or tricks out of it. And if you just came to watch, absolutely awesome. Watch it, like it, share it. Subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any of the upcoming videos. And we got a couple of good ones coming. Anyhow, until then, you've been driving in a 1968 Alpine A220 race car with me as your pilot, the Overfed.